Good afternoon and welcome to our third Super League Live of the season. We're back here at the Essex Sport Arena as the Essex Rebels will host Team Newcastle Knights on a doubleheader on Nations Unite weekend here at Essex. Mike Hunter-Morris, delighted to be joined by now Super League Commissioner and former Essex Rebels head coach Alex Porter. Alex, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited for today's game.
And obviously, before we kind of dive into these matchups, let's talk a bit about your kind of change. Obviously, long time here, nice to be back at home for you, I'm sure, but just talk about the behind-the-scenes work you've started to work on and helping the Super League this season, how much fun you've been having.
Yeah, so over the last 4 months, I've been in weekly contact with Volleyball England and basically trying to look at what we've been doing in the Super League over the last couple of years and actually how far we can take the league in the next 3 to 4 years. All the small little details that if all the clubs are able to participate in raising that standard, we can take this to the next level and become a professional sport.
And obviously the big change in the summer was 10 teams to 8 teams. I know you've been watching a lot of games, so how much of an impact do you think that's had on the league in closing the gap and making every game so competitive this year?
Yeah, it's super competitive, and you know, no one wants to be in that bottom 3 where you're going to be at risk or guaranteed relegation. So I think it makes every single game really valuable rather than just going, you know, we're not inside the top 4. You know, we can kind of cruise to the end of the season where now it doesn't matter, like every single game, even the last game of the season is going to be important. There's no dead rubbers anymore.
Indeed, and obviously a big game between Essex and Newcastle. First time these two sides are going to meet. Newcastle, the newly promoted Super League side, they've got ambitions, not looking down. They're looking to try and pick up a big win and boost their top 4 hopes, but we'll start with the home team, the Essex Rebels. Obviously, you know Alex Chinnery so well. What's kind of been your big impact of what they've done this year? Obviously trying to take a step and get to the title game once again.
Yeah, so I think for Rebels this year, like the pressure from the service line is unreal. They've got 4 players in the top 10 of the servers. And for me, you know, that's going to kind of make or break the opposition. You know, if they're able to handle that service pressure, the team's going to be able to play. But if they can't, then it's going to be one-way traffic. And then the second thing for today for the Rebels is the strength in the middle. You know, they've got a number of players that are again in the top 10 for kill efficiency, and that just makes it really difficult for teams to put up a block on the pin because they have to respect the middle.
Yeah, and obviously we'll start with team news as we always do. Big news, Leah Borek out again with an ankle injury. She's still rehabbing, a couple of weeks away. Hopefully Alex Chinnery told us pre-game. But that gives a chance for the young British core to step up. We're going to talk about more about targeting Leah, but Leela Whittaker, Kate van der Vunder, people you had around the programme last year. How nice it to see them get an opportunity to start and make a big impact in this starting 7 for Alex Chinnery's team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole emphasis of this programme. The focus is on athlete growth and development. And so, you know, the British players will come in their first year, train hard, be surrounded by a good cohort of international, more experienced players. And then when they get to their second and third year, they start to get more court time. And this is a perfect opportunity for these two to get court time and actually show I can compete at this Super League and actually I deserve a spot in the starting lineup.
Yeah, and I know talking to Alex, it was a big decision where he would go with starters. It looks like he's going to start Kate van der Vunder again, who started yesterday, but Leela Whittaker in that game against Lionhearts made a big impact off the bench, so one to watch out for. But Alex, when you look at this Essex team, hasn't all been plain sailing since Christmas. Went up to Leeds, played a set to 23, dropped a set against a struggling Lionhearts from Area's team yesterday. So what do you think Alex is talking to him about trying to get that consistency up towards the back end of his season, now being in February?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and after speaking to Coach Chinnery, you know, this is not about using 7 players to try and win the Super League. It's a squad game, yeah, and you're going to have to give people opportunities to play, and that sometimes means playing 1 point, sometimes means playing a whole set, but also this is a long season, and so there's got to be opportunities there to rest players, and I think the last couple of weeks has been a case of that, of a little bit of squad rotation, giving people experience, and then we'll push on towards the last month of the season.
Yeah, and it's a big bounce-back opportunity to the Rebels. Yes, they won in 4 sets, but talking to the staff pre-game, they weren't happy with how they played yesterday. Hit under 100 for the first time this season against Lionhearts. So the double-header impact is also quite nice. That maybe not a good performance, chance to bounce back at home as well.
Yeah, you know, it's also a case of, you know, they had a big game on Wednesday to finish off the Bucks season as well. So it's a busy couple of weeks for them. Long trip away last weekend up to Leeds. You know, again, we've got to think about that squad rotation. You know, a couple of players had some points off yesterday. Will they use that as an opportunity, as you just said, to come in today and get the job done?
And we're going to start, obviously, for Essex, important top 4 aspirations. Just make sure they get there, but this is an Essex team always want more, and obviously they still believe they can challenge Durham Platternuts, who are runaway league leaders, to get up to top. But to do that, they're going to have to take on the team. We'll go see at the other end of the court, Josh, if you come with us, the Newcastle Knights, and Alex, as captains, get ready for the toss. This Newcastle team, they didn't look good on opening weekend against MAAREE, but it was a big step up into Super League, and now they've really settled into how they're playing.
Yeah, again, for me, when you think about university-based teams, you know, they've got a new squad that comes together at the beginning of the year. They've got to take time in training and games to kind of form a team, and then you'll see as the season progresses, they improve. I know a number of clubs who are not university-based that want to play those fixtures against university teams early on because they know that's their best opportunity to get a win.
Indeed, and as the captains meeting in the middle to get a toss. For Newcastle, the issue's always been the one thing all season. It's can they find a consistent passing unit? Obviously, no Daisy Ballman again for the Knights today. So Sam Shenton's been trying to really figure out who the outside combinations are, and how important is that they can really find someone to step up and really solidify the passing unit, because that's the major weakness of this Knights team at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, when they get the ball in, they're really strong in offence and they're able to get the job done. And, you know, with moving the libero to the outside, I mean, they've got two liberos in the serve-receive unit, so they should be able to control that Rebel serve today. Well,
maybe we should have waited for the toss, because we wanted a bit of the Newcastle end to talk about them. And they've won the toss and chosen to change ends, as you do.
That's how it goes.
So come with us and we'll have a little walk, but of course we'll stay talking about the Knights. And obviously, you talk about the impact of rotation for Essex. They've got that in Newcastle as well. Sam Shenton's built a squad over the past few years that has really added depth, and they've got a number of options similar to Essex that they can change the game off the bench. So how important is that for Knights to have that depth, especially as a new team, just to know that they've got different ways to play?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing for Knights is that actually they've got a number of their postgrad players from last year that have actually decided to stay in Newcastle and get a job, and they're still involved in the team, so they've still got part of the core of the squad together from last year.
And obviously, we talked about the impact of the Essex middles as well, but Jenna Vask on the opposite position for Newcastle has been such a key addition, a new signing, and she's kind of really grown into that fundamental piece that they can build their offense around.
Yeah, I mean, it gives them an opportunity to get a decent swing when they're out of system. It doesn't matter where that pass is. If the Essex serve today is as strong as we think it can be, then they're going to rely on her a lot today on those out of system balls, keeping them in play or recycling to let those middles really put the ball away.
And how impressed are you with this Newcastle team as a results side, that we're now looking at this team as, is this the team that can break the top four, which isn't quite solidified yet, but at the start of the season you just want to stay up, but now they're looking at, can we break that top four rather than looking behind them? So how impressed have you been by their overall performance of such a young team?
Yeah, I mean, I've been impressed. I mean, but to be fair also, you know, they've played Leeds twice, who are currently bottom of the table. They've got 2 wins against them. You know, they've got some tough games to come up, and they've played a few less games than anyone else. But what we were just talking about a minute ago, where university teams, the longer they go on, the stronger they get, they've got that in that back pocket for them. So, you know, it's going to be a challenge today, and I'm excited to see how they progress for the rest of the season. They might scrape in there on a 4th place in the last couple of games, but, you know, time will tell.
Indeed, and obviously the big result for this Newcastle team was taking team side out Bologna to 5 sets, and it was former Rebel, no longer in this lineup for side out, Alexis Diaz-Infante, who had a generational game to secure the win. But that shows the potential of this Knights team, taking an experienced side at Mark Contopoulos leads to 5 sets.
Totally, you know, side out this year again has been a little bit quiet this first half of the season. Are they going to step their game up towards the end? You know, Mark's a very experienced coach, and he'll be coming up with new ways for their team to play to make sure they guarantee that top 4 spot. But again, where's Newcastle going to be in those last couple of weeks? They're just going to get stronger and stronger. And I think, you know, if it's not this year, the year after, they're going to be top 4 contenders from day one, not just from after the Christmas break.
We're going to take a quick break here from courtside. We're going to head upstairs and get ready, but we're about 10 minutes away from the opening game. This one in the MAAREE Women's Super League. Team Essex Rebels will take on Newcastle Knights. And welcome back to the Essex Sport Arena, where we're about 7 minutes away from opening serve here on Nations Unite Sunday, an annual event here hosted by the University of Essex as we get ready for the MAAREE Women's Super League game between the Essex Rebels and Team Newcastle. And as we said downstairs, the race for the top four is super important, and we'll now have a look at where the teams stand in the league table heading into this fixture. And as we said downstairs, it is the Durham Platinets who are leading the way, having an undefeated season so far. As the graphics kind of got itself crossed up, you can see there Essex Rebels in third, but 2 games in hand on MAAREE, and a win today will jump them up into second place. And as for Newcastle Knights, those 10 points well away from the relegation scrap at the moment, but just the 1 win against Lionhearts Venarius away from being caught up. So important. But if Newcastle Knights can win today, Alex, that suddenly jumps them right into that race and just 1 point potentially behind teams outside of Bologna with a game in hand. But as you said, a little bit of a tougher schedule, but when you've got to play the teams that are around you, that you can control your own destiny.
Yeah, and make some of these games 6-pointers. It's like super important, as we were saying at the beginning. You know, there's no dead rubbers when you've got the 3 bottom teams in contention to get relegated.
Indeed, as we are now going to have a look at our ones to watch. And Alex, on the Essex Rebels side, we're going to look at Tara King, who obviously young British players developed in this system. You talked about that stronghold, but how impressed have you been of her stepping up? Because last year she got a little bit caught behind Alexis Diaz in front. He didn't get many chances, but she honed her trade in bucks, and she's had a really breakout season. The only British player in the top 10 in hitting efficiency in the league. Yeah,
and I think that says it all, doesn't it? You know, the British athletes at Essex get an opportunity to train around some of the best players in the country. And people may say that, you know, they're not playing, but actually, what's a better environment for them to develop? Is it in the training session doing a lot of 6v6 wash drills, where they're competing against those tough serves, tough attacks on a regular daily basis, or is it just getting 1 or 2 points in the game? But these British players that have come through, and again will come through Newcastle and Nottingham as well, like, they get that experience. They've got to grab hold of that experience when opportunities present themselves. And you know, it's happened on the men and the women's side, where these players are grabbing their opportunity, and Tara's grabbed it with both hands this year, starting for them the whole time, in the top 10 for hitting efficiency. Like, she's doing great, and I've only got high hopes for her in the future. Indeed, and obviously potentially always someone that you can have back in the program, but she's second on this Essex Rebel team in attempts, which obviously Leah Borwick's missed a couple of games, so it's a huge testament that McKenna Smith's trusting Tara on the opposite position. Also second in digs, despite sometimes not always seeing the court, and Alex Chinnery sometimes throwing in a DS, so Tara's all-around game has really developed. And she'll be a big impact, especially with no Leah Borwick, that, as they did yesterday, we'll probably see a few more balls on that right-hand side of the court. But we're going to flip over to the other end of the court. We talked about the middle battle and how good a job for the Essex Rebels, Hayley Gillifan and Savannah Spitzer, have done this year. But they're going to have their work cut out on the other side to slow down the Newcastle middle. Renee Kilo. Renee missed the opening game of the season against MAAREE with illness, so we didn't get to see her in person, but she's had a tremendous season in the top 3 in hitting efficiency in the league at 348. Yeah, I think today is going to be a real battle between the middle players. You know, Essex have got 2 great middles, Newcastle's got 2 great middles. Like, are they going to cancel each other out, or are they going to really ignite this game and set it on fire? Indeed, and the first year, well, obviously still playing semi-pro, we'll call it, for now. Obviously still playing at Bucks level, but coming out of West Virginia, playing her collegiate volleyball in Division 2, having sat out last year, now has come into this Newcastle lineup, has been a big addition. 12 blocks on the season, 42 kills, both second in the Knights team behind Jenna Vask leading the way on the position, but also an important serving rotation for the Knights. You talked about Essex serving pressure. Renee with 6 aces on the season, second in the team as well. So how important is it to have a middle that can really hold up the serving weight as well? Yeah, vitally important across the whole team. You know, and again, this is another battle that I'm really looking forward to. Is, you know, Essex Rebels have got 4 players in the top 10 of servers. Newcastle have got 2 players in the top 10. They're the only 2 teams that have multiple players in the top 10. Now, to me, That means if they can serve aggressively and do well, they may well take out those middle players. If either team backs off, these middle players are going to have a field day. So for me, the two things today, which will be Kilo and Gilfinnan, like how are they going to serve? If they serve like they have been, like this is going to be a tough game for them in the middle. They're going to be doing a lot of covering on the pin attackers. But if either team backs off, they're going to have an absolute field day.
Yeah, and it'd be super interesting to see. Probably Alex Chinnery's probably got the better option to be able to try and match up. But obviously, these two head coaches, super experienced, obviously both part of the England setup. We know how good they are at game planning, both of them. So where they go with that middle matchup, does Alex Chinnery try and get a slightly better blocker on that win with Savannah Spitz, or does he try and really attack with Hayley Gillifan's slide? So which way is he going to go with that will be super interesting to see.
Yeah, and then after that, how will they adjust based on what they put out in the first set as well? So, I've got a lot of time for Coach Shenton up at Newcastle. He's going to have been analysing this to the nth degree over the last week, trying to prepare the team as well as he possibly can. So it's going to be a really entertaining battle for them.
Indeed, and we're just a minute or so away from getting slightly overrunning warm-ups at a conclusion. You can see teams just going through their final serving sets, and then we'll have the starting introductions coming for you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. You can always see, obviously, Daisy Boardman, who's not with her team today, in the comments, but let us know where you're watching from, and we'll give you a shout out throughout the course of the day. Obviously, the men's game up next as well, as Essex and Newcastle battle out in the first of the two-game doubleheader in the MAAREE Women's Super League, as the Rebels head off for the introductions. But first of all, we'll have our referees coming out onto the floor, and a super experienced officiating crew today, led by Sebastian Wildras, who obviously did the final of the Men's Super League last year, as well as the Cup final, which the Essex Rebels and Alex Porter will have good memories about, and he'll be joined by Claudio Flore today, as the Newcastle Knights are going to be the first team out, and they'll be led out by number 4, Isabel Hogan, the setter, who's done a really good job stabilising this offence. Number 10, Jenna Rusk, the opposite we talked about downstairs, leading the team in kills at 49. Number 19, the libero, Lexi Applebach. Number 23, as they've all changed numbers, number 27, Caroline McMahon. And number 28, Renee Kiro. Number 33, Amber Duraki Myers. And the other starter for for Newcastle, big decision to make. But Sam Shannon went with number 23, Kaylee Scars. And obviously we talked about the outsides being positioned, but no Daisy Bourman gives an opportunity to Kaylee. He's just played 3 sets this season to jump into the starting 7.
Yeah, and this is another example of where we've got players that will be given an opportunity. Will they take it today? Let's see.
As with Nations Unite, all the Essex Rebels athletes coming out in nationality order. So the complete diversity here at the University of Essex. Marley Sivatach from Australia, the Canadian middle, and who will start through the middle. Hayley Gillifan will wear number 22. Number 10, obviously not playing today, Leah Borek. And next up is Danai Karoli, who got some court time yesterday. We've talked about that rotation. She has an option, and if Leah Borek's out for a long period of time, we know the option Alex Chinnery might have in his back pocket. Could he potentially flip Taya Shamlin back to the outside position where she was so strong in the second half of the year? But the form of Danai Karoli will be important for that if Alex wants to go down that move later in the season.
Yeah, that flexibility within the squad, like they've got a big squad. That flexibility will allow them to present different pitches depending on the opposition that they're facing.
As the English group come out as well, the young British core, we'll see Leela Whittaker, Tara King, Heidi Bright, part of that English group. As Leela Whittaker from the Turk and Caicos, kind of British, we'll count it, but Leela part of the English, obviously set up on the junior side. As the Americans come out, Taya Shamblin, Elena Dupre, McKenna Smith and Savannah Spitzer, all 4 starting today for Alex Chinnery. And finally Kate Thunder who will get the start in the outside position, and this is a big opportunity for Kate to really cement herself. Obviously that competition we talked about downstairs between her and Leela, but this is an opportunity on the big stage to go out and want more court time in the big games to come.
Yeah, you know, the work that she's put in over the last 3-4 years has been phenomenal, and you know, I think she's going to grab this experience. Like, I watched some of the game yesterday and she was hitting over the top of some of the Lionheart blocks. Like, she's done so well.
Yeah, and that was Kate's first start yesterday, and great to have us all with you in the chat. Looks like the McKenna Smith's family in there. Kath Tolley, who is probably should be in the gym. I don't know where she is, probably enjoying herself, obviously, but she's had a bit of an injury as well and out of this Rebels lineup. So we're going to have a bit of a tribute, Alex, and I'll let you talk about this a little bit as well, because obviously you were here last year.
Yeah, it's a sad day for us at the Essex Rebels. So a year ago there was a car accident involving 3 Essex Rebels basketball players and one of the dance crew, and unfortunately passed away in that car accident, and so we're just having a moment of silence to celebrate their lives.
If you're able to, you stand up and start the applause.
And impeccably held here as expected at the Essex Sport Arena, and obviously our best wishes and condolences a year on to the families involved. As the Rebels just go into a huddle. Great to see former Rebel setter Chelsea Simmons with us as well, as we're about to get underway here in the MAAREE Women's Super League, as Newcastle made their middle rotation sub just a little bit too early for our second referee, Claudio Flourier, on the far side. Now the set, and it'll be Taya Chamberlain coming in for Savannah Spitzer. And it'll be Kate Thunder to open up the serving, and the crowd still funneling in here at the Essex Sport Arena. Obviously last time we were here, record-breaking crowd.
Looks like they might have to reset the lights again.
Yeah, it's gone a little dark. Alex Chinnery gone to have a chat with the bench. You can see Essex Rebels manager Diana Voyanova on the walkie-talkie. The lights are set on centre court. Newcastle happy, Essex happy. Referee blows his whistle, and we are underway in the MAAREE Women's Super League. And Kate Thunder puts Newcastle under pressure. We get it over on the second touch, and Hayley Gillifan through the middle finds the kill.
Tough serve. Not able to run the middle. Essex taking advantage straight away to run their middle.
And there's any sign of potential nerves from Kate? Nothing going on there on that first serve, and she'll try now back it up again, going down the line. That one clipping off the tape. Hogan out to 4 meters, and she'll find Renee on the right-hand side, and she hits the cross court. And again, versatility through the middle, being able to hit through the middle, but also on that right-hand side.
Yeah, it allows them really to spread the play out, putting pressure on the opponent's block.
As Chamberlain pushes McKenna Smith out. Dupre on the cross court, lovely high dig right in the pocket for Hogan, but she can't quite time it up with Renee Kiro down the middle, and that goes down as an error. But you can see again Newcastle wanting to go through the middle, and Hogan taking responsibility for the miss set. So Gilfillan back on the service line. That one going to land right on the sideline. Kilo into the block of Dupre on the slide, and now the ball for the first time going out wide for the Knights. King with the dig, and Dupre, second time of asking, goes line, finds the floor, but again Essex able to read the early tip and really set up the counter.
They would have watched a lot of video to see At what points does Hogan second ball the ball over? We all know the sets can be won by 1-2 points difference between the two squads.
Gilfillan with the trademark serve well beyond the baseline. Again, Knight scrambling, but big early kill for Kaylee on the left-hand side, getting her opening start, and finds the floor through the middle. Just a little block touch up by the Rebels. As Kilo to the line, Thunder, tight ball, and McKenna Smith goes on two, pushes it into the corner, beating the diving defence of the Knights, and McKenna Smith's really settled into, I think you can almost not argue at this point, the best setter in the Super League.
She's got great vision, great distribution. Really impressed with her this season.
Another big serving pressure. McKenna Smith going back to the serving line and pulling the first ace of the day. Too much for Lexi Applebatch to deal with, going away to her left. The 11th ace of the season for McKenna Smith. She leads the Rebels, can't get a 12, but is there on the defense. That one into the basketball net. And a point for the Knights to get it back to within 2, 5-3 early. But again, you can see the serving pressure that Essex are trying to put on this Newcastle team that have struggled on that serve-receive unit this year. As Isabel Hogan, who never setter leading her team in aces on the season with 10, goes back for her first serve. Flat serve, well handled by Shamblin, and Tara King goes with a little roll, but Newcastle out of system. Vask goes deep tip, Shamblin with a huge touch. And McKenna Smith pushing the Knights back. Shamblin on the dig, that one over the net tape. Spitzer has to play it. Smith tries to find the kill, but well read by the opposition setter. Longest rally underway. As Dupre finds it on the cross court.
Do you know what I really like there? Is Dupre just took her time on that last ball. You see her waiting to see how high the ball is. And then she starts her approach to difficulty.
Yeah, it wasn't a perfect bump set right onto the 3-metre line, but Dupre with that patience as her serve goes into net, able to find the cross-court kill. As Kaylee Skers back on the service line, just 12 serves on the season for the Knights. She again attacks the libero of Shamblin as Hogan with the defense once again. Another bump set onto the 3-metre line. Both teams continue out of system early on as Thunder leaning back, can't get enough on that to force it down, and that one over the sideline, and 2 in a row for the Knights. Brings them back to 1 early on. As you can see, both teams loose here at the Essex Sport Arena. As that one, well left by Thunder. That one, good depth on it, but just a little bit too wide. They're always the ones that are tricky to deal with, the ones heading right into that back corner.
And when they just kick in at the last minute, so frustrating as a passer.
Yeah, it's the one you really don't want to play, but you're like, do I need to? But another good serve forces Applebatch to a knee, but a lovely strong, and that signalled out, but overruled by our chair umpire. That one looked like it perfectly hit that back corner of the court.
The first ref today, Sebastian Vidlars, he was out in the Canary Islands on Wednesday, refereeing a European Cup game.
As Dupre tested on serve receive, and we'll give it a kill. We're not going to ignore the little net touch by Newcastle trying to set up the block. There's a little push by Hayley Gilfillan over the top on inside the 3-metre line. And again, the diversity of this Essex attack through the middle. As Tara King back to serve, that one going on to the sideline. Well played by McMahon, and King dug up the vast kill, but Killo
beautiful.
Nearly found the kill, but the Rebels defense there in time. Vask again with the left hand, and King catches Dupre, and immediately a timeout for Alex Chinnery. We hope Elena Dupre is good, but we'll have to look at that one again. A huge cross-court swing by the lefty. As Tara King trying to make the dig away to her left, but unfortunately the only contact sent that ball into Elena Dupre, and Alex Chinnery, really smart piece of coaching there. Don't worry about the sub, that's your best outside hitter. Instead, use a timeout, talk a couple of early adjustments.
Yeah, it also gives Dupre just a few extra seconds for the Philly to come back in her face, to put herself back in another spot to go and put the ball away again in a moment.
Yeah, it looks like might have been one of those that perfectly flush in the eye region. In fact, she's going to tell Alex Chinnery, I think, that she can't continue unless he's going to go for medical timeout. It looks like maybe a contact lens.
Yeah, you can see the physio is in the medical bag.
Yeah, so Elena Dupre will need to check out of this game, and in will come Leela Whitaker. So how important now is it for the Knights to really put some serving pressure on and keep this ball out the middle? You've got a very young outside core for the Rebels on the court. Lack of Super League experience. So if they can keep the ball away from Gilfillan and Spitzer with service pressure, that will be huge, as Whitaker struggles with that one. And Funda can't make it over. The Newcastle Knights men getting into the game.
This is the opportunity they should be relishing, to show that I can do this job at this level from the first point.
Whitaker takes that one away from Shamblin. Slide for Gilfillan. Great dig by Applebatch. And a big, strong swing down the line by Caroline McMahon. And she finds the Newcastle Knights lead for the first time in the game. Smith back set, another little slide. Big touch by Kilovo. And Alex Chinnery immediately, Elena Dupre's good, and he'll reverse that substitution.
Although the location of those two passes was good, the height wasn't. It was put in both the setter and the middle under a time pressure.
Funda right to Smith, back on the ball to Elena Dupre, and she makes no mistake. That's a huge confidence boosting swing straight back onto the court from a beautiful position. We don't see the ball go out to the back pipe on the left side too often in the MAAREE Women's Super League, but there, Rebels running it to perfection.
Over the last few games, both these teams have run backcourt attack from the middle of the court.
Perfect ball for...
Not necessarily a 50 ball, as you said, from the left back.
Smith again trying to go, but well read by the Knights. Killer on the slide. And that's why she's all the way up in attacking efficiency again. Another point for the Newcastle middle. And the Knights have a 2-point lead. And Caroline McMahon back to serve. She talked to us on the Timeout podcast earlier this year about not being able to serve, starting out as one of the libero options, as Dupre dug up by Applebatch. Smith jump set, Gilfillan, and McMahon can't quite make the dig, but was in good position. But again,
every time the Rebels have passed that ball, whether that's from serve receive or in transition, every time they've passed it high enough to give McKenna a couple of options, they've put it away. Anytime that pass is low, that's when they're struggling.
As that one over early, Hogan again seeing the blockers not in front of her, and she will come up with kill number 13 of the season. As that one an overpass, McKenna Smith playing that on the wrong side of the net. Alex Chinnery trying to argue it, but I think that's pretty clear from what we could see. Wasn't a blocking opportunity. No touch by Newcastle, and Smith playing that over on the Rebels side, sorry, the Knights side. As Funda finds Smith, this time down the middle. Renee with the dig. Dupre diving save. That one short. There was no touch on that one. And Alex Chinnery is going to think about using the second time out, no doubt. So the gap is suddenly 4. And again, Rebels not quite able to find that attacking efficiency that we saw early in the season that led them to have the best team efficiency at the first half of the break. But when you can feed Elena Dupre like that, that's one you're not going to dig up.
Again, what was the height of the pass like? Higher than it has been previously. No pressure on McKenna. Boom. Puts the ball away with ease.
And Smith with the early ace. This time her second trip back to the line pushes that one wide. As Daisy Bournemouth trying to make enough noise in the chat like she's with the Newcastle team on the bench. The men's team also well involved. As Hogan, perfect serve. Dupre ducks out the way, but that one about half a metre inside the baseline.
Hey, we said it was going to be about tough serves, and that's a tough serve.
As ever, trying to back it up with a second one. And again, Dupre can't handle it, and Alex Chinnery, the immediate timeout, his second of the set. And the Newcastle Knights making a statement early on, a 6-point lead over the Essex Rebels. And Isabel Hogan with 2 strong serves.
Yeah, for me, Newcastle are playing really well at the moment. They've been super consistent from the service line with their attacking decisions, where Rebels look like they're asking questions of each other and not necessarily coming up with the answers.
Yeah, and Hogan with one of the more unique paths to English volleyball, coming through a military academy in the US, went to the Citadel along with the Durham Palatinate captain Ali Ruffin. But one thing you know from that background is you're going to have leadership, you're going to have organisation, and you're not going to worry about pressure. And we'll see if Hogan can respond out of what is quite often a coach's point. And again, she's targeting that side, but Shamblin able to step across to her right. King splits the block and gets a much needed point for the Rebels, and a confident swing from Tara King coming out of the timeout. And that'll put Elena Dupre back onto the service line. Perfect pass though by McMahon, and Vask through the middle, well dug up. Smith trying to set up, and the Knights can't quite convert, but again, McKenna Smith trying to be super aggressive, getting the middles involved that time through to Savannah Spitzer. Knights couldn't quite make the defensive play.
Anytime you present a slightly different picture in offense to the opposition, are going to struggle to pick up those cues and put up an effective block.
Short by Dupre. Hogan has to let Vask almost have a stationary swing again. Smith being aggressive through the middle. Hogan's going to get there as Kaylee goes into the net tape, not quite getting the block touch. She was trying to play for the hands, but the hitting error. Yeah, it's great to see the Dupre family, who it's almost, I think it's the first time I've commentated them this year. The Dupre family haven't been in attendance, because last time I was here on opening weekend they were here, but great to have them with us. As Sam Shenton uses his first time out after 3 in a row from the Rebels. And how much do you talk about just trying to win 1 point at a time and not look too far ahead to getting into that 20-point region, and just trying to stabilise the gap? Because if you can get into 20s with 2 or 3 up, that gives you a little bit of a margin for error.
You've got to be in the moment. If you start looking at the score like that, that pressure, that internal pressure is going to affect your decision making, affect how you play. You just got to be present the whole time.
So it'll be Dupre back after that Newcastle timeout, trying to put some pressure on another Essex player with double-digit aces. A miscommunication as the middle Jureki Myers trying to play the ball, and then that going in between Hogan and Vask. Vask trying to let her setter get there, but long cover for Isabel Hogan, running from one into the middle, trying to get back out to the right-hand side. And now 4 in a row for the Rebels. Make that 5 as Dupre again taking pace off that late dip. And the Newcastle back line can't get to it.
If we had an emotion meter, like this game is swinging back and forth, back and forth.
Fifth serve in a row for Dupre. Vask on the left-hand side into the block of King and Spitz. A shambling bump set. Spitz has to go with a little touch. Love high ball, but deep into the court as King attacks. Rebels on the recycle. Thunder, not the cleanest contact, but perfect placement on the 3-meter line, and we are tied at 17. And Sam Shennant uses the second timeout. 7 in a row for the Rebels. And when you have to burn 2 in a row like this, Alex, just talk about it from a coaching point of view. What are you trying to say to your team to just calm the nerves and really settle in?
What I used to do, I used to talk about the breath and about noticing how the breath comes out your nose or out your mouth, to try and get them to suddenly start focus internally, to try and calm down so we can make better decisions. When you're thinking about all the errors you've made or your teammates, those errors are just going to continue to increase and compound.
Well, whatever he said, it wasn't long. It was short and to the point. The Knights out with probably 10 seconds left of the 30-second timeout. And he'll be hoping for maybe a little coach's point to get his side back into the lead. But instead, another great serve. Hogan, lovely high bump set. Perfect for Vask, but she just misses the sideline, but able to go in and attack that ball. And the Rebels into the lead once again. As Dupre this time just misses the baseline, not by much. As we see the Knights men supporting their team. Always vocal, that Newcastle team, as you know well.
Yes.
We won't maybe repeat what they sometimes say, but they are definitely vocal as the ace comes from Kaylee Skarch on the sideline, ball going down the line, attacking Kate Thunder. She's more than held her own in this first set, her first start of the season, as Thunder goes into the block of Vask, but that one just missing the sideline. Chamberlain was there, watching it drop out as Neil Ray having some fun. Those of you that maybe not have listened, caught up with Neil on the Timeout podcast earlier this week. Obviously part of our commentary team as well, but we gave him the afternoon off so he can focus on the game coming up next. As that one, Applebatch puts it over the baseline. Long run for McMahon, and Vask will give up the free ball. As King fires it over the block and in between 6 and 5. And it's such a mature piece of hitting by Tara King, just finding the gap over the block where she wanted to find that seam between the back line. And the Rebels, the first team into the Magic 20s. As Savannah Spitzer sends Lexi Applebatch flying, and Vask gets the touch on the swing. And now we'll see a serving sub. Sometimes Sam Shenton going with the double sub, but this time serving sub, and it'll be Harriet Philp-Edwards, who might as well call this home. Harriet from the Chelmsford area, so just 30-minute drive down the road. Her third season in the Super League, one with Mallory, and then her second at Newcastle. Finds the net tape. Gilfillan plays it well considering, and King gets rejected on the tumbler. Philp-Edwards, rusty set, and that one into the antenna. And not as much as Philp-Edwards can set. That's not the first one you want through the middle, trying to bump set from 6.
Do you know what? For her to serve and it to clip the top of the net, I was like nodding away, going, "Yep, go for it, Harriet." You know, it's. But then the next contact is always going to be tricky.
Tara King going up McMahon, but a perfectly run middle. You're not going to see much better than that. Another kill for Renee Kilo as Hogan set her up.
She's jumping into that gap between the 2 and 3 blocker. Loads of space to hit into.
Funda dug up by the Knights. McMahon attacking the block and finds the kill. I think flicked off the left hand of Hayley Gilfillan and kept the ball short, but McMahon, despite being undersized, big jumper. And Rebels trying to respond with the slide, and Gilfillan pulls it off. And that's textbook Rebels offense.
You know, Gilfillan was at Durham when they won the championship a few years ago, played professionally for a couple of years. Who else are you going to set when it gets to the business end? You go to her all day long.
Effectively a race for 3. Potentially extra points as well, as Renee has to wait on it, but her jump fakes out the block of Dupre and Gilfillan, and then she goes with just a little touch shot over the top of the block. It's a beautiful piece of awareness.
There's nothing more frustrating as a blocker. You've gone up, you've done your job, and that ball is just centimetres over the top of your reach.
Shambling perfect pass. Another attempt for Gilfillan. Applebatch with the pancake. Rebels trying to be aggressive, and they're going to call a double touch.
That's a big call from the ref.
Alex Chinnery nodding as well. He's always the first to argue, so if he's nodding, he agrees. And obviously the new internal rule, if it's an internal pass, you can get away with it, but not on one going over the net. And our Sebastian Willard's all over that, so 2 set points for the Knights. Dupre saves one, going line, Vask ducks under it.
Got the best server on the Rebels team coming back.
Blocking as well with
Spitz coming on front court as well.
But obviously a little bit of backcourt weakness, no lib on the court. Perfect pass. Renee for the set, finds the baseline. And the Newcastle Knights come into Essex with top 4 ambitions, and in set number 1 make a statement. They take it 25-23 over the Rebels.
Fair play to Newcastle. They played well in that set. They deserve to win that.
Indeed, and again, variety. We talked about no Daisy Boardman, but everyone's stepping up as Hayley Gilfillan goes for a sprint. Water bottle needs filling up, but we talked about service pressure. Newcastle, back end of that set, managed to settle Isabel Hogan in more solidified, higher balls inside the 3 metre line more consistently, and that really allowed her to attack and get Renee touches through the middle.
Yeah, you know, every time the ball's low, I feel like I'm repeating myself quite a few times today, but it's so true. Every time that the pass is low, they're taking out their own middles. And the key for both these teams is getting these middles firing.
We just get some of the stats all loaded up to have a look as the Essex cheerleaders on to court. As crowd has definitely filled out nicely. Obviously not quite a big attendance as we had last time we were here on Super League Live, but the volleyball culture has definitely consistently grown here at Essex.
You've got to start somewhere, and when we started Essex Rebels 4 seasons ago, there was no one. And now we hold the league record of, was it 672, I think it was?
650 plus, we'll go with.
650 plus, yeah. So, you know, they've come a long way. The local community backs the volleyball team, the basketball team. And that's going to be one of their focuses for the next 3, 4, 5 years, is filling this arena out.
Yeah.
It's got over 1,500 seats capacity.
Yeah, and obviously the whole other side of the arena available as well if we ever get there. As we have a look at some of the scorers from the first set, Elena Dupre with 5 kills on 8 swings for the Rebels and 4 points on 8 swings, but a couple of errors, which is rare, out of Hayley Gill-Fillan. As for the Knights, Renee Kilo leading the way with 4 kills on 7 swings, but also 4 points on serve. So Knights have been able to side out her and keep her on court just a little bit more. Obviously not really attacking from the back row, but keeping that service pressure up.
The reality is, 1-2 points in each set is going to be the difference between these two teams, and we saw that. We saw how much the game can swing, and it still ends up just being a 2-point difference.
Yeah, 10 errors in the set for the Rebels in the end.
Which is a lot for them.
Yes. Well, 40% of points just given away. As unsurprisingly, no changes to either starting 7 in the second set. And again, this is where the Rebels' depth is really being tested. Obviously, Dupre back on court, but obviously no Leia Barrett, no Kath Tolley. It's not quite a deeper bench as Alex Chinnery's had in other years. But opportunities once again to step up as Shamblin, Smith and Gill-Fillan on the right-hand side. Read the set was drifting out, got out to the pin super quick and able to fire the ball into the block for the block out. And she'll have her 5th point of the day. And now heading back to serve. Beautiful pass. And Kilo again on that slide, finding the deep corner at 1, going at Tara King in the back row. Kate van der Funde back there as well, but
it's one of my favourite things of watching women's volleyball as they set a long ball slide. That middle player's got the opportunity to go along, make the decision, see the blockers, go around the blockers and then put the ball away.
I appreciate all of you joining us as that one's tight. The 2 setters jousting. Hogan puts it back over on the Rebel side, so van der Funde has to swing from the back row. Hogan trying to go with Renee Kilo again, but can't find the kill connection this time. That one looked like it was creeping long, but McMahon plays it, and Vask on the 10 ball pushes it wide. First time we've seen Newcastle really try and set up deliberately for the back row attack, and Jenna Vask couldn't quite convert, but the right idea.
This is one thing I love about the universities being involved in the Super League. They've got time to work on different skills. If you go back 4 years or so ago, hardly any women's teams were running backcourt offense. Now everyone's got at least one option, sometimes 2.
And they're going to call that a double touch on the set. I'm not quite sure that ball ever got to the Essex Rebels side to have been forced over, but either way, that was coming down on the nice side. And the Rebels with an early 3-1 lead. As Daisy Boardman telling Alex Chinnery and the Essex team they might want to put a block up on Renee. I think they're trying, but I don't think they've found something that quite works yet.
That's what I'm talking about. On those slides, as a middle player, you have all the advantage. You have time and space to make that decision to put the ball away.
As an overpass killed off by Jerky Myers, but they're going to say point Essex Rebels. She thinks she clipped the tape on the swing.
Although she claimed that it was the ball, actually by her body language, I think it may well have been the ball, but also her hand afterwards.
Yeah. As Alex Chinnery wanting a bit more noise from the home fans opposite us. There's a lovely ball again by McMahon, and Scarce plays for the block out and gets it as Tara King was going up to try and close off the angle. And that will put Belle Hogan back on the service line. As lovely serve down the line. King gets a chance to attack. No, they're going to call block touch overrule from the referee. Neither line judge gave it, but referee right there. And that's what the Knights are going up and having a chat about. But
I didn't see that one. We're all human.
Yeah. It's also tough from our angle. We're just off centre, so that point of contact was pretty close to the left shoulder from our vantage point here on the balcony at the Essex Sport Arena, as Juraki Myers makes no mistake on that one. Lovely quick ball from Hogan, and Essex going to have to find a way to slow down these middles.
I think that's called justice. If there was no touch, getting the kill straight away.
Always. As Thunder, not the cleanest of contacts, but gets into position to set. Dig over pass though, and Hayley Gilfillan needs no invitation. Also having a huge game for the Rebels. The Rebels relying a lot on her right now for offensive output, and that one, everything you want as a middle. Lovely high ball, clearly coming over, time to set up. As King goes line, perfect pass once again. Geneva dug up, McKenna Smith goes little cheeky backs set, trying to find the kill, but the Rebels find the point as Vask pulls down on it into the net. And the Rebels, as they did in set number one, establishing a little bit of a lead, but we know the Knights won't be phased with that comeback as Tara King. Lexi Applebach got shouts of out, but I think that was going in from our vantage point. Gilfillan has to play it, setting. Bump set again by Hogan, and McMahon into the block.
Smart play. The block was well formed in front of her. If she goes through the middle of that, she's going to struggle, but cheeky little swing off the inside hand. Smart play.
As Dupre, Smith, Gilfillan sees the block, has to go deep corner. As Thunder will get a chance, she'll try and push it into the deep corner herself, but that one over the baseline, and you can see Essex, when they're not quite perfect swing, they're clear planning to try and put some depth on this ball, push the Knights back a little bit.
You can see the intent, you know, try and get into that last metre of the court and the corner, get them out of system.
As a huge dig by Hogan goes over, but Knights will be happy to still be in the rally. But that one taking a touch off Vask and killing the ball in front of McMahon in the back row.
We've seen more swings from Thunder today. As the game's progressed, she's gone from going tip, 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 or to use the block. She's now actually going for those bigger, more powerful swings. Keeps the opponents guessing.
Vask. Block touch by the Rebels. Dupre has to wait for it on the 3 metre line. Again goes tip, and Shambling couldn't quite get under that one, trying the pancake, but couldn't quite get there. And Jenna Vask with her first kill of the set that hits the floor. And she'll go back to serve deep, and a little bit too deep over the baseline. Just a couple of cheap ones given away by the Knights, but they're still in this set, 9-7 early on. For those who are joining us a little bit late, as you can see, Newcastle taking set one here at the Essex Sport Arena as Hogan and Applebach avoid a collision. But McMahon can't find the ball over the net tape, swinging not from a comfortable position, and Sam Shenton wants to just settle his side down and calls the timeout with the Rebels up by 3 once again.
We definitely need to invent this emotion meter, because it feels like Rebels have just upped theirs a little bit, Newcastle have dropped theirs. Happened in the last set, and it swung back the other way, then swung back again.
Yeah, you can't even use AI for emotions, really. It would have to be a human element. But hey, anyone wants to do it, we're all ears here at Volleyball England.
Maybe we can mic one of the players up on either side and be able to analyse the volume and intensity of their cheers and their talk. Who knows?
we'd definitely have to be select. Well, we could maybe, yeah. Definitely not for broadcasting, especially with certain individuals.
This is very true.
And certain coaches.
Very, very true.
One of which may be opposite us on the sideline.
No comment.
I'll let you at home work out which one we were talking about. As Gilfillan again. Newcastle done a really good job dealing with her serve that's been so advantageous for the Rebels this year. And Renee Kilo going again with a little tip over the block. She's found success multiple times with that, and you wonder when the Essex Rebels back row are going to take maybe a little bit of a gamble and step up a little bit more and try and make sure they're in position to get to that ball around the 3 metre line. As another service error by the Knights.
It's one of the things of doing a standing floating serve. You've got to serve, then get yourself back onto court, whereas jump float or jump spin, you've already got the momentum, you're in your base position within half a second.
So the Rebels captain, McKenna Smith, back at the service line. Hogan has to go over, but into the block of Spitz. And again, all the problems coming off a flat ball rather than a lovely high ball. And the Rebels' biggest lead of this set now at 4. Can they make it 5? Hogan pushes Renee out the way, but Newcastle can't find a way to get the ball over. And the energy in the gym just starting to flip back. The Essex Rebels fans starting to engage once again. As Applebatch can't deal with the Smith serve. And all the momentum is with the hosts as they look to tie us up at 1 set apiece.
You can see that serve just kick up at the last second. Appleback was there, ready to pass, nice platform. Ball just pops up a little. Unfortunate for her.
Yeah, Applebatch leading the Knights in serve-receive rating this season. That's just error number 7 for her on the season, as she solidified that starting libero job for Sam Shenton in pre-season. As someone in the crowd earned some vouchers. I think I heard the word pizza.
I'm up for doing a challenge if there's some free pizza.
I think the only thing you probably don't need anything free of is Rebels merch the amount of time you were here, but anything else, 100% pass it our way.
Hey, that's one of the beauties of these big events that the Rebels put on. You know, we've got great community involvement. I can see loads of kids running around who are at the local primary schools. The university students are in. You know, they're always doing different little events between sets after the game, get the crowd really involved.
McMahon with a huge swing, but perfectly dug up by Kate from the Thunder. Now Essex have control of the rally. Vask, McMahon diving. Hogan just misses the baseline, but great scramble. But it all started with the defense of Kate van der Thunder, because Caroline McMahon connected with that swing, and that was a perfect dig.
Great defense from both teams. Well, I think Taya was a little bit overconfident there on that last ball. She was already celebrating where Thunder was tracking it back, and it was only, you know, half a foot to a foot out.
Tight set, joust, won by Hogan. Out-dueling Savannah Spitzer at the net. That military background coming in good.
Discipline. That's what it is.
A couple of the Newcastle Knights men's team making it known too, as Dupre, who's been quiet in this set, is rejected by Hogan.
That was a quick set to Dupre as well. Not a lot of time for her to decide where to go. That blocker was already up. Great block from Newcastle.
As that one, Thunder can't deal with, and this emotion meter once again. Emotions maybe we can't judge, but we can judge momentum, and all of a sudden it's flipping back to Sam Shenton's team. And you think one more, and that's probably going to force a timeout. Can the Knights deliver? Perfect ball though by Thunder. Spitzer rejected by Jureki Myers, back to back big blocks by the Knights, 2 different players.
Really nice block.
Second solo block of the season for the middle. No timeout. Alex Chinnery trying to let his team figure it out on the fly. As Dupre gets it back from Smith. She goes into the block, and it's an absolute shutdown. It might be a Sunday, but we can have a party, and it's a block party. We'll see that one again, perfectly lined up by Kaylee Scarce on the outside. Hogan. Scarce couldn't quite find it over though. Hogan. Tara King with a huge touch to settle the Rebels down.
I think that's what it is. I think they're overthinking these last couple of points. They just need to calm down, focus on one action at a time, which is what Newcastle have done beautifully over the last 2 to 3 minutes.
Daisy Boardman's having fun, isn't she?
She's busy. She's doing her job.
Dupre, short serve off the net tape. Jurecki Meyer able to pick it up. Great awareness. But Rebels have control. Dupre from the pipe.
Big
dug up
hit
by Applebatch. As Alex Porter said, that was a huge swing. Do they go back to it? They don't. They go to Funda. Funda dug up by McMahon. Knights defense coming to the party as King gets the kill. No pace on that one. Instead going for placement. And 2 massive points by Tara King for the Rebels.
There was a couple of big swings in that rally.
That Dupre one was hit.
Yeah. But then for Tara to go up and just change the tempo of that, smart play.
And again, that's why she's top 10 in attack efficiency as Amber touches it into the block. And it's a 3-point lead for Essex late in set, well, mid-late set, not quite late set yet. As Hogan heads to the back row. Funda. Hogan gets a touch on it to keep it alive. Out of system. And they're going to call 4 touches on the Knights. Immediately called for by the Rebels. I think there was a double touch off the block perhaps, which meant Hogan's was the 3rd, and then you're 1 short.
Newcastle players definitely didn't agree with that.
No, but captain also didn't go to the chair, which maybe some indication. As Vask, deep tip. Savannah Spitzer tries to rearrange her feet to get a touch on it. She does, but can't control it forwards. And Dupre not able to chase that one down. As that one wide. And it just feels like a couple of ill-timed service errors by the Knights. They're not really going big. They're trying to be a bit more placement heavy, but they've pushed 3 or 4 now wide.
That makes you question sometimes. Should you actually just go for it instead? If you're going to make the error, it might as well be an aggressive error. That's what we've done with the Rebels men's team last year. No, we had more.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, we had more service errors than like the rest of the league combined. Like, it was ridiculous. There's a couple of games where we were at 25 service errors, yet we were still able to pull out the win.
As Tara King forced the mistake. So it's a 5-point lead, make it 4. And it's a huge rotation for the Knights because that gets Renee Killor back onto court, and both teams going with changes. So Harriet Phil-Edwards will go back in once again as a serving sub, and the Rebels going to make a change as well. They're going with a DS type role as well, as Anastasia Jovic goes back, and she'll basically play as an opposite, but she's going to play purely for the defensive element as the Rebels try to slide with Gil Fillan, dug up by the Knights. Gil Fillan this time the decoy. Phil Edwards much better set this time on the bump as that one long. Another block touch given by the Knights. Another one not given by the line judges, but that one quite clearly took a deflection.
Yeah, Hogan didn't protest all about that. Probably one of those ones where it's just come off your little finger, doesn't really change the flight of the ball. Referee Vidlars has got 20 plus years of refereeing.
As that one, Applebatch over the net, killed off by Dupre. And the Rebels up 6 and in control of set number 2. Dupre, patience not to go early with it.
Probably double checking that Hogan was back court.
As Dupre into the block again. This time on the 3 metre line. Applebatch able to get the second touch. McMahon over the baseline. And we are one step closer to a tied score at 1 set apiece, and the Knights just error rate really creeping up in set number 2. Having had just 6 in set 1. As Vask finds Thunder. And Dupre makes no mistake, a perfect pass.
Nice angle.
And the angle to 3.5, 4 metres.
Let's see how close that is to the tee. Yeah, 3.5 metres, I reckon.
As Thunder misses on the first of 8 set points. And Jodie Amor, the Knights captain, going to go in as a serving sub for Jenna Vask.
Jodie's the glue that holds this team together, sorts out a lot of their logistics for them.
That one right on the net tape, and Dupre squeezing it through the block. And the Essex Rebels tie us up 25-17. And we are 1 set apiece here at the Essex Sport Arena on the first day of the month. The first day after the transfer deadline shut as well. A couple of teams making some late additions. More on the men's side than the women's, but always interesting to see what teams want to do in the month of, well, this year, January. Obviously, last year it was February. You saw us while you were coaching the Rebels men teams, trying to work out where the weaknesses were and try and find some players to fill those gaps.
Yeah, and with last year, where there was 10 teams, it meant that there were some dead rubbers at the very end, but it also meant that some teams were able to boost their squads right at the very, very last minute. And so we got to playoff time, and, well, we all know some teams had slightly different squads to what was there previously. But that's the rules. They played within the rules. What can we do?
And that's partly why the rules moved. That was one of the off-season discussions amongst teams, coaches, staff at Volleyball England, was that deadline being in February, the season ending, realistically the league season ending in March was too late. That's why it got brought up to the 31st of January, in line with a lot of other sports as well that kind of go that end of January. But there were some big moves made this week. Couple of big departures as well. We saw one yesterday on the men's side. Zach Omashemi not there for MAAREE anymore as they went down in 5 to the University of Nottingham. He's gone off to the Czech Republic. And that'll be a gap. Team side out on the women's side. Talked about how they played this Newcastle team tight. Sydney Booser potentially back on their books. Don't know if that one got finalised or not, but I know that was something that Mark Kontopoulos was looking at.
Yeah, Sydney was injured a couple of years ago, wasn't she?
Yes.
So
ACL.
Yeah, so hopefully she's back fit.
And then the big one that I don't think's gone out publicly yet, but we know is confirmed. Elias Watts, the Richmond player's transferred from Richmond, and he's left and he's joined London Giants as the Giants get even stronger in the Super League. Giants also adding a couple of their second team players into the first team as a bit of injury cover late in the season. But we'll break all that down on Tuesday on the Timeout podcast as all the signings get confirmed over the next day or two. And it looks like I broke that one to you, Alex Porter. That's a rare piece of news, me breaking you news.
I didn't know about that. But then again, I'm not coaching on a full-time basis anymore.
Well, it's also not been publicly announced, so I suppose I just broke the news. So, but deadline's shut, so I can do that. Perks of the job. As we get ready for set 3 here at the Essex Sport Arena. And we talked about the error count jumping for Knights. 11 errors in that set in the end for Newcastle. Ended up with 8 kills and 6 hitting errors. So something that Sam Shannon will just want to settle his side down, because they did really well in set number 1, being consistent. As for the Rebels, much cleaner, 13 kills in set number 2, just 1 hitting error, but also did get 3 monster blocks, so it's technically 4 errors if you count that. Set number 3 underway. Applebatch puts the ball high into the air, as does Shamblin. So Thunder with the bump set. Great ball for Dupre to attack, and she tries to find the cross-court angle, but a little bit too much on it.
The line judge was very enthusiastic about that decision. Good on him.
Good positioning too. Smith chases that one down. Dupre with an absolute.
Well, that line judge was not very confident about that one.
Well, I thought I thought I saw that go in, but clearly out. I was going to say, because that was a really tough swing from Dupre, going inside and reversing the ball back out around
Just
the body.
It a bit too much.
As McMahon aces Shamlin, the 27s going at each other. We appreciate all of you joining us in the chat. A lot of support for both teams. As Smith just about stays legal. Including a lot of families concede the Dupre's. Spits of family both in the chat. It's still early on the West Coast out in California. My mind would say it's currently 7 a.m. out there. And it's 3 p.m. here, and we are 3-1 Newcastle in set number 3. As Dupre makes that 3-2, and Elena Dupre is growing into the game. She moves up.
Another big swing from Dupre, bringing her hammer to the party.
Yeah, 9 kills now, 11 points total for Elena Dupre. As a lovely ball steps up Renee Gillot through the middle. I think Gillifan got a touch on it before it bounced on the deck, but
again,
the best libs in the league aren't digging that regularly.
That's true. Again, any time that ball is passed in that pocket and they're able to set those middles, they're going to them.
As Dupre plays that one, gets it back into the block, as looks like Belle Hogan's the one getting the applaud from her teammates. Hogan, 5 solo blocks, 8 assisted blocks coming into this game, leads the team in total blocks from the setting position. As another pass, and Kate Thunder, that one off into the crowd. No chasing that one down from Elena Dupre. Blocked off by the advertising boards, but I'm not sure she was getting there either way.
Fortunately, those advertising boards are pretty flexible. You can go through them. You'll stand up again. They might not.
As Thunder does well to deal with that tough serve. Vask able to get that ball put out, and Spitz able to read the tip this time. Delayed the jump just enough to that one not going over the outstretched fingers. That one going in to the fingers and downwards.
That will feel good.
Rebels think we're just one block so far in the game. That one, number 2 of the day, perfect ball. Hogan, red Shamblin creeping in, tried to push it back into the corner. As Vask into the net. And it's a big point for the Rebels to try and get the emotion meter settled once again.
It's all about controlling the emotions, being present, having a calm head makes you make good decisions.
Overpass for the Knights. That one well into the air. We talked about the height of it, but that one just drifting a little bit further than they wanted.
Dupre was smart with that because Hogan's there ready to pounce on it. If she's going up to swing, that's going straight down Dupre's socks. It's a smart play.
This time flatter, but Hogan deals with it well. McKenna Smith, acrobatic. Kate van der Funde also getting there, but again, couldn't quite put the ball aerial enough to give her teammates time to find the third ball over. And that will send Belle Hogan back to the service line. As Dupre has to wait on that one. Shamblin bump set. Savannah Spitzer into the block. And a free ball given up. Well, not really that free. Knights scrambling. Another short ball, and Newcastle Knights are finding that 3-4 metre gap, and the Rebels defence hasn't made that consistent adjustment.
Yeah, Newcastle keep mixing up, putting out a few big swings, a few roll shots, a few tips. The Rebels defence will adjust. But that also presents some opportunities for Newcastle.
As the Rebels bench just told to shuffle up a little bit. As van der Funde, perfect pass. Slide for Spitz, and she gets on the board in this set. Quiet game so far for Savannah Spitzer. Just her second kill of the outcome. Only 5 swings as well. For one of the best hitters in the MAAREE Women's Super League, coming in hitting 378 on the season, second overall, behind just her teammate Hayley Gill-Fillan. As Dupre again taking some off the serve. Vask from the right side makes the strong swing. And we'll get to look at that one again, perfectly lined up. She hasn't had as much success as we've seen in other games this year, but that one going and splitting the block of the Rebels. As a bit of miscommunication on the back end, and they're always the frustrating ones. Not quite sure, and obviously the Rebels having to make the change to that passing unit without Leah Borek in the lineup. Shamblin push back. Van der Funde goes a line, but pushes it wide. Did well to squeeze it past the antenna. And Alex Chinnery walking up to Claudio Floyer and asking to talk it over. And the Knights lead is 5 as they are edging towards a point on the board. And this emotion meter swinging once again. Smiley faces on the Newcastle, and not quite panic stations for the Rebels, but you've got to start making a move if you want to go away with all 3 points in this contest.
Well, we saw it in the first hit, didn't we? Newcastle was up, what, 6 points, 7 points, and then Rebels were able to bring it back. Let's see if they can do it again. And here we go. Here's the Volleyball England emotion meter.
For those of you at home, feel free to point at where it is on the graph. Are we high, are we low? But good work by JC here to get a little fun going as we're out of the timeout. Shamblin, Tara King, who's not seen as much ball as maybe we expected going into this game. Vask hammers it down the line.
Really powerful swing from Vask. Her last swing was deep to the opposite corner. This one, a hammer down the line.
Smith trying to get the middles going, dug up by Hogan. That's going to stay on the Knights side. McMahon goes aggressive on 2. Rebels deal with it, but Thunder mistimes the connection. Alex Chinnery wanting a touch, but I think that one looked like it was under the net tape.
I was just more interested that Spitz was hitting a higher ball through zone 2. Tara King was in the middle.
Shamblin with the overpass, killed off by Newcastle, and Alex Chinnery frustrated and angry, second time out, and on a good day he's emotional, but when his team isn't doing the basics, gets them fired up and asking for more from his side, who obviously on the second game of a doubleheader, having taken the 3-1 victory over Lionhearts Venarius yesterday. But that one could have easily gone 5 as well. Lionhearts were up 23-22 in set number 4 before 3 points straight for the Rebels to close it out. And you could just see the disappointment on his face in the timeout.
Yeah, they're expecting a higher standard from themselves, and they're not playing to the level that they can play.
Does the timeout fix it? Dupre through the middle is rejected on the pipe. Amber Jureki-Myers able to line it up perfectly, and it's a 9-point lead.
But if that had found a gap and gone through, that would have swung the emotional meter the other way. That was a big hammer of a swing.
Shamblin, Smith out to 4 meters to get it. Thunder goes power tip, but pushes it wide. And I think we're going to see Leela Whitaker into the game. Indeed, a little hand wave from Alex Chinnery. And Leela Whitaker will get her second opportunity. Obviously had a couple of points late, midway through set 1 when Dupre caught one in the face. But it's a 10-point Knights lead in set number 2, 16-6, as power tip by Whitaker's rejected, and it is all Newcastle Knights.
This Newcastle men's team are absolutely loving this.
As Hogan gets a touch to Savannah Spitzer's kill attempt, Dupre off one knee. Tara King into the block.
Going down the front of the Newcastle block. Let's see if the Rebels take a breath, calm down. Or is Newcastle going to keep dominating?
As Hogan jump set, Vask dug up by McKenna Smith, but over for the Knights. Vask again misses the line. Savannah Spitzer's left foot was perfectly on the sideline. That
she knows her court dimensions.
also probably a relief she wasn't having to need to dig that one. As the low flat serve, lovely ball once again. Jureki-Myers able to adjust to it, but McKenna Smith finds the dig. Vask goes aggressive on 2 instead of setting the ball, so control to the Rebels. As
Great defence from Newcastle.
King can't find the ball. Applebats with a huge touch off the block. And McMahon goes down deep corner, sees the open court, and Elena Dupre's lane can't get there. And obviously no libero on court to help out, but Dupre athletic enough, but a beautiful ball.
You know, liberos have got great ball control. That wasn't about who can hit the hardest.
Placement is queen in this game as Whitaker places that one over the end line. And the Newcastle Knights look like they're going to come down to Colchester and walk away with a guaranteed 1 point and opportunities for more. As that one hits the end line on the dot. Not a lot you can do about that one. That just dropped right onto the green.
Multiple players were calling that out. You go with it.
5th ace of the season for the American middle. That one a little bit too much. But 20-9, and Alex Chinnery's thinking set 4, thinking set 5. Here comes a double sub. McKenna Smith going to take a very rare break. Haven't seen this too much this season. And Tara King as well. As Anastasia Jovic in to set. We saw her earlier on.
I'm going to make a prediction that Gracie Bockway is going to roof the ball the next time it goes into her zone.
That was the name I was looking for. It's not on my notes, which is partly my fault.
I got you.
It's experience, but the serve into net. Grace goes, little roll. Skurs has to go from the back row. That one, Renee went to swing, realised it was falling short, managed to stop the swing, and that ball into the net tape.
That doesn't happen very often.
Better lucky than good on that one.
Yeah.
When things are going your way and you're up 13 points against the Essex Rebels women, you get little breaks like that. But Newcastle deserve this 2-1 lead. They are a few points away from clinching as Fillon finds the sideline on the cross-court angle, and the Rebels get into double digits. Mark Stone 1 set at least.
Now those players that Coach Chinnery's taken off, they've got a little opportunity to reduce the anxiety, focus on what they want to achieve in the next set.
As Renee on the slide. This time the Rebels actually get a touch on it, but sadly not one that's controlled. That one careering away. But again, small little wins. You've actually at least got a touch on a slide, because pretty much the rest of them have all been clean by the Knights. As Dupre can't find the kill. Anastasia Jovic able to read the roll shot, and Dupre off the net tape finds the sideline on the tight angle in the end.
Still waiting for Grace. She'll land from the block, turn around with this cheeky little smile.
And I missed a libero change as well, as Denai Caroli getting a little bit of court time in this set as well, as Hogan has to bump set. Gil Fillon, Ibokwe into the block. Scrappy passage of play. Gil Fillon setting for the second time. And Belle Hogan getting up and rejecting the kill. Not often we see Hayley Gilfillan setting, but 2 decent balls. But not the outcome, and it's 13 set points to the Newcastle Knights. I don't think anyone was predicting that pre-game.
No. Who's your money on?
Whitaker, great ball. And a centre line violation, I believe, rather than a net touch. Savannah Spitzer going to the net. Don't know what she's going to ask for, but that's not going to get overturned. And the Newcastle Knights take the set 25-11.
Impressive. Really impressive.
That's arguably one of the entire sets of the Super League season. To come on the road against the top 2 team that have only lost to Durham Platinums this year, to come take a point and hold the Rebels to 11 is a statement of intent for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
But can you finish it?
Newcastle Knights just super consistent in that set, relentless almost, whereas the Rebels, they can see the score running away from them, they're almost backing off. Indeed,
as more prizes being given out. We're not going to get any unless the dice makes all the way up here, which maybe it will. It's creeping up. But obviously you've known both coaches for a long time. What do you think Newcastle are talking about now? Because you can't play much better than that.
It's
So-
just going to be talking about consistency. What we do well, repeatedly? Where can we tighten up a little bit? Do we need to make any small little tweaks? It'll be a very positive conversation about expectations moving into this fourth set.
And obviously on the flip side, obviously we probably expect Alex Chinnery to go back to the core group, but I think the decision is where he goes for kills, because obviously the middles of Newcastle have contained. They've not stopped, but they've contained. Elena Dupre's had a big game, but they've not really found consistent offense through Tara King or the combination of Kate Thunder or Leela Whittaker. So what do you think can change in the Rebels offense to get one of those two going? Because they're going to need someone else to step up.
Well, we saw towards the end of that set with Spitz hitting some higher balls through zone 2 and Tara coming into the middle. They're going to have to try something different, as you said, in offense. If they can play the ball a little bit higher, give both middles a bit more time, maybe they can run a few more slides in transition.
As AJ, the in-house announcer, is going to try and get this crowd fired up. Rebels are going to go with Kate Thunder. And everyone back onto court. So Savannah Spitzer, Tara King, Elena Dupre, Hayley Gill-Fillan and McKenna Smith, along with Taya Shamblin in the libero position. And the Knights, as expected, no changes. Jenna Vask, Kaylee Scarce, Lexi Applebatch, Caroline McMahon, Renee Kilo, Isabel Hogan, and heading to the bench on the rotation, Amber Juraki Myers. And it'll be McKenna Smith being called over. Are we yellow carding? Feels like the only reason to talk to the captain early in the set, or it's a final warning.
I always find it interesting when a referee gives a yellow card out for a time delay, and all that does is actually increase the level of time delay.
Yep. But I suppose if not when. As Tara King goes into the block to start set number 4, hit the Essex Sport Arena. Smith, Spitzer, Newcastle keeping it alive. Hogan, deep push into the corner. Thunder gets the block touch, and a big rally for the Rebels to win.
Yeah, Thunder was a little bit earlier there. You can see she was on the way down. That put her a bit of an advantage with the distance off the net, so she could go off the top.
As Hogan with a rare misplaced set for Renee, but able to adjust. And then Knight still in the rally, and they're going to call a net touch on Tara King, who went up to try and line up the block.
I can't see the tape moving. I can see the black part of the net moving.
But I can see Tara King's reaction, and she didn't argue.
I thought she shaked her hands like, not me.
Yeah, no, she didn't put up much consent, as that one clips the net tape and rolls over for an important ace for the Knights. As one ace brings two, changing placement, that one deep in the corner. And back to back for Caroline.
This is what I was saying before about the Brits grabbing hold of opportunities.
Dupre Smith has to go with the one-handed set. Tara King tries to go touch beach type style, but finds the net. And Newcastle haven't let the change of ends flip the momentum or the emotion.
But if the players keep doing the same, they're going to get the same results.
As that one a metre over the baseline or so. Newcastle with just 8 kills in set number 3. But found different ways, as that way is being consistent from minute 1. And Renee Killor on the slide, buries that on the cross court. And she moves up. To 10 kills, second player in the game on double digits. As that one is dug up. And that one, Elena Dupre couldn't get there. Leela Whitaker immediately into the game for Cape van der Funda. As Alex Chinnery trying to find a spark. And Leela Whitaker provided one in February, March time last year when we were here for the Essex Rebels MAAREE Eagles game. And she goes into the block of Hogan and Jureki Myers. This time, block touch found the right hand of the middle, taking that one away from the back line. And a settler for Leela Whitaker, who just needs to remember where she is in rotation, and that's number one. You get to go serve. That one clipping the net tape. Caroline.
Breathe, Lilla, breathe. Relax.
One each for the net tape in set number 4.
We need a net tape meter as well. I wonder if JC can come up with that. There's been a lot today.
Oh, I say, I can't remember where we were last year, but it was one team had a ridiculous amount of home net tapes. And it definitely felt like it, as Scarce able to roll it over the block. And again, the Essex Rebels not making in-game adjustments to the level we think they may have been capable of. The little tips and rolls on that 3-metre line, not being dug up at all. And clearly part of the Newcastle game plan. As Hogan Dupre gets it back and beats Abelbach on the cross.
That's the Dupre that we know and love.
Well,
she's had some crazy angles today. And
love
a few hammers as well.
Love if you're not playing defense against her.
Yeah. Oh, for the crowd I'm talking about. If you're on the defending team, yeah. That's a challenge.
High ball. Mesh concept. Vass coming through the middle, executing to perfection as Jureki Myers went out to the right side. And Jenna Vass coming through the middle to hammer that one. She's up to 7 on the day, on 28 swings. So not super efficient for the Newcastle opposite, but they've found team success. And Alex Chinnery wanted timeout, but I think he called it a little bit too late. Ball already signalled ready for play. Can the Rebels respond? Dupre into the block, gets it back. Knights bench wanting 4, but I think that was in the block. That one definitely was, and there's an emphatic timeout. Now we need one, and someone's being called to talk to. Sam Shenton's being asked to come to the net. Not seen that too often. Unhappy with the Newcastle Knights men?
I'm not sure.
Alex Chinnery not even entering the huddle right now.
Gilfillian was upset about something when she went off.
Yeah.
She was pacing at the back.
See if anything on the Newcastle side. And McKenna Smith being sent to the chair umpire. So both captains going to the chair. This is where we could do the referee being mic'd up. That would help us. But a little bit of tension.
Some games we wouldn't be able to broadcast what is being said.
No, but that would be my guess.
That would be on the pay-per-view channel.
But Sam Shenton's not sent anyone from his bench over to relay a message to the men's team.
If it's that.
If it is that. Both captains at the net nodding their head. Alex Chinnery saying 4. Oh, I wonder if it's on court. Because Caroline McMahon taking time to huddle her team and asking for a second. So I wonder if it was something said on court.
And Alex Chinnery held up number 4.
Bell Hogan.
Who knows?
As that one blocked, but blocked out.
Whatever it was, will that be the fire that lights the Rebels' blaze?
Well, the other thing is, these two teams have got to play each other again. This is meeting number 1 between these two sides. Essex go up along with MAAREE at the end of February, the first part of March, for a road weekend up in the northeast. As that one, an overpass. Tara King makes a mess of that one. Didn't quite know what to do and gave Newcastle a chance, but they couldn't capitalise the first time. Can King make up for the mistake? Yes, she can. Beautiful patience to park the emotion of messing up a lovely attackable ball, and this time killing it off.
Yeah, that Rebels road trip, I think they're playing Newcastle on the Friday night and then Durham on the Sunday.
Yes, as that one's an overpass by Applebach, and Dupre hammers. And whatever the timeout was, whatever the emotional swing was on the emotion meter, the Rebels have come out fired up and are back within 1. Vask back on the Knights side. Can they find the floor? McMahon can. And overrule from the chair umpire says that one was out. That's a tough overrule on the opposite angle.
Well, the line judge called in, then called out. The referee called in, then called out.
Well, the line judge changed it when the referee signalled. Not an easy job, because that ball was hit well.
I wonder if that was where they both made a educated guess before the balls landed and realised they actually need to change their decision.
Anyway, ball don't lie. McMahon gets a kill at the second time of asking.
Again, we need another stat for that. How many times does the referee make a decision like that? And it follows up with the other team winning.
And Hogan, Kilo, dug up by Smith. Whitaker keeps it in play, but the Essex Rebels, if that doesn't sum up your day, nothing does. That ball went miles in the air and no one wanted it.
Yeah, Taya should have been all over that. She's the one facing the net. It's behind Tara King. She's going to struggle to turn around and pass that ball over the net.
Whitaker, Smith, King, point to the Rebels. And the Knights continue to say, Essex Rebels, you're not coming back and tying this setup or getting into the lead. Smith keeps that one alive, but free ball Newcastle. Kilos slide, Newcastle point. And
so
McKenna Smith once again going to the captain chair umpire. No idea what's happened. Wrong server?
Really impressed with Kilo today. Her decision making has been unreal.
I think Essex are asking for wrong server. That's my only guess. Because Alex immediately signals something on serve. Second referee went to the scorer's table to check. What I also didn't realise is Denai Caroli back in the game for Taya Shamblin. And another new Essex bad serve receptions led to a Jenna Vask ace. And once again, the emotion meter has flipped, and the Knights are in control.
Yeah, the Rebels look a bit frazzled.
King changes the tempo again, goes with a more firm push down the line, crosses up Caroline McMahon in the backcourt. And Tara King not seen a ton of success, but she feels like she's been the stabilisation of this Rebels team. Every time they've needed a point, the ball's gone her when she's managed to find some successes. That one flat from Kaylee Scarce. Hogan chased that one down, and an ace for Savannah Spitzer, her 8th of the season.
Yeah, she's inside the top 10 for best servers.
As Applebatch puts that one over. Hogan not getting to that, so back-to-back aces for Spitz. And that lead is fluctuating 1-3, back to 1. Can the Rebels tie it up or maybe take the lead? Not on that one. Ace followed by error. And it's a 2-point lead as Karoli stays in the game in the lib position. There's that one. Smith back sets for Tara King, and she finds the deep cross court.
I love her celebration, the way she slams her foot into the floor afterwards. You can see how passionate she is. Watch this. Yeah.
But now can you settle again and find a good serve? She does. Hogan chasing, good bump set though, but Kaylee Scares gets that all wrong, and we are tied at 50. As briefly had a stream crash. Hopefully we are going to be back with you any second. I think you can hear us still. You've not got any picture. We're working on that. As our tech team will try and reset. But we are 15-15 in set number 4 at the Essex Sport Arena. Possibility we might be here at 15-15 in about 25 minutes time.
Who knows? Who knows?
Never say never in the MAAREE Women's Super League. Tara King, lovely high ball for Hogan to get under. McMahon blocked. She'll get a Sozo. Scarce was blocked. Second chance. Smith pushes it out. Whitaker can't quite put the swing on it she wants. Kilo! That is a ridiculous piece of hitting because she had to jump backwards to get to that one.
Like I said, for me so far today, she's been like the one to watch. She's really impressed me.
As Alex Chinnery goes into the cupboard. Is that where the ball went? I've got no idea. No, the streaming camera went down. Renee, not just causing problems on the court, causing problems for equipment as Hogan and Jiraki Myers combine for the block. And the emotion meter once again swinging the way of the team in red. I say streaming camera, this today no streaming from that camera, but the normal camera as Gillifan into the block on the slide, and Hayley Gillifan, who was electric in set 1, quietened down a little bit in 2 and 3. It's going to have a big impact while she stays front court as Whitaker goes back to the service line. King able to see the roll shot, but Smith and Gillifan had gone up for the block and neither of them could get to that second ball, which was perfectly in the middle of the court. But the speed of it just, obviously Smith blocked off by her middle there, trying to run across and couldn't quite capitalise on it. As Belle Hogan cross court, Whitaker onto the 3-metre line. Gilfillan misses. And the Knights get the 3-point lead. 19-16, and potentially closing this out and going home after the men's game with 3 huge points. As Hogan misses wide on that one. As Gilfillan Jerky Myers through the middle wasn't the easiest place to set her from through the first contact, but she was able to bring close enough on that left-hand side to open up an angle for an aggressive swing.
Yeah, she is nice and wide and open. Gives the setter a good target.
As Whitaker wants to leave that one, but it hits the baseline, and the Knights are 4 points away. That one off the net tape. Whitaker plays it. But that one, nothing the Rebels can do. And the Newcastle Knights are pulling away 22-17, 3 points away from a huge moment potentially in the MAAREE Women's Super League season, as Kaylee Scarce can't get that one over the net. Applebatch, Vask, Smith gets a touch, Whitaker able to keep it alive. Caroli with a nice early call. Mayon on the cross court, beats Caroli away to the right, and we are 2 points away. Harriet Philp-Edwards misses the baseline, but not by a lot. Another unsuccessful serving sub for the 20-year-old. Back home, I know mum's in the crowd.
Spent last night at home as well, a bit of home comforts before a big game.
The dream.
Oh, I know.
Also a dream for the university, has a hotel room saved.
Win-win situation.
Hogan. McMahon on the line. And the Newcastle Knights get to the 24. They are 1 point away from a huge upset. And it'll be Jenna Vask, Whitaker, Tara King, Hogan out of system. Big dig by Caroli. Smith right on the tape. Perfect ball. Applebatch with the dig. McMahon tips it in the gap, and the Newcastle Knights take it 3-1 over the Essex Rebels. And
great play from Newcastle.
Caroline McMahon, who started the year as a libero, moved to the outside position.
This is only her 4th game as an outside.
And the awareness down the stretch to find the way. She came up huge for some kills for her team, and they are going to be delighted with the victory. And they move right into contention for the top 4.
Yeah, really impressed with Newcastle Knights. Their defence, their hustle, their middle attack, especially Kilo on the slide. Really impressed.
Indeed, and obviously it was an all-round team effort. No Daisy Borman, but set
she's
one
contributed the whole way through on the
stream,
on
of
the
course.
live stream chat.
But serve receive wasn't great for Newcastle early on, but what they managed to do was solidify that passing unit, and that's been the problem we talked about pre-game. Can they pass? And today they passed really consistently through sets 2, 3 and 4, and that built the platform to build the offense around.
Yeah, I said at the beginning of the game about it'd be a battle of the serve and a battle of the middles, and we saw that, didn't we? You know, when teams are serving tough, no middle. Anytime they back off a little bit, boom, middle players are involved. And Kilo done really well.
Yeah, and for the Rebels, a lot of learnings. Slide attack hadn't been an issue to cover all year. Your middles have been dominant, and now you found the matchup, and now you've got a little bit of proving ground. It wasn't a great clean performance yesterday.
The thing is, it's a challenge, and that's what the Rebels need. It's what all teams need. is for the opposition to challenge them. Otherwise, you get complacent.
We will bring you some post-game reaction from the Essex Sport Arena in a few minutes, but as we talked about at the start of today, it's a year anniversary since 4 Essex students tragically lost their lives in a car crash in Colchester, and we're going to have a tribute in the arena for them properly. As we had one of the Essex Rebels dance team, and obviously 3 of the basketball students. And we are going to take a pause from here in the Essex Sport Arena to have the honour of the lives of those 4 members of the Rebels family, DJ, TJ, Eva and Mikhail. We will take a break and then we'll be back for post-game coverage and get the thoughts of Rene Kilroe as the Newcastle Knights had a strong 3-1 victory.
Today we don't just remember what was lost, they were.
And welcome back to the Essex Sport Arena, where that tribute has just been played for the occurrence. And back alongside me, Alex Porter. Alex, and obviously before we wrap up and talk about Newcastle, we're talking about some of the learnings for Essex Rebels. How much of an important loss could this be in terms of just resetting them a little bit? Because obviously we talked a little bit pre-game about the consistency hadn't quite been there, and maybe if that wasn't quite the wake-up call, dropping a set against Leeds, dropping a set against Lionhearts, this might just spark them that there is another gear in that team. We've seen it in various moments this year, including the 3-0 victory here against MAAREE, and now they need to hit that.
Yeah, you know, it's never fun to lose. that's for sure. You know, the players will feel that. But also, you know, Leo Borovic will be coming back in a couple of weeks' time. That'll be a big, not just a boost in performance, but a boost in morale as well. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think it's an opportunity for players to reflect and realise they need to kick in all the time, and not just on the big occasions.
Yeah, and as our game MVP gets set to bring up, little debate needed on this one today. Someone that was just dominant on both ends, obviously the blocking, but we talked about how important the middle balance was going to be, and this individual won that battle today for her team.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a good game for the crowd as well. So hats off to Newcastle. They deserved the victory. I'm looking forward now to seeing what happens in the men's game.
Indeed, the men's game will be about half an hour, but our game MVP is up alongside us. We'll have a quick chat. No doubt about it, we're with the Newcastle middle. Renee, how big a statement is that victory is that for your team? Coming into Essex, a tough place in the league, a top 4 team, and getting your first victory over a contending side this season.
That's definitely boosting our confidence and assuring us that we do belong in the Final Four, we do belong in the top 4 teams, and also a statement to the other teams that we're here to play and we're here to win.
And just talk about the matchup. We talked about it all pre-game long. Obviously, the 3 most efficient attackers in the Super League, all through the middle. You knew you were going to have some work defensively, but you also know what a good blocking team that Essex are. So how did you find success today? What was the game plan going in?
Our game plan was pretty much keep our energy stable the entire time, which we did a pretty good job of. Obviously, when we lost that set, our energy went down, our confidence went down, and it was an emotional roller coaster. But once we were able to stabilize and just focus on each point individually, we were able to come out on top.
And obviously now, how big a confidence is this going to give this group moving forward? You've got a lot of home games left as well. You've got to play Essex at home, you've got MAAREE at home, you've got another crack at the team side out Bologna. So how important is this for you now to build on this performance and not let the standard drop in the last 2 months of the season?
Definitely, we're going to think back about this. Every time we have a new game coming up, we're going to remember how we played here, how we clicked here, how evenly our offense was spread, and we're going to just do the same thing again.
Well, I appreciate you joining us and congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
There's your game MVP. We're going to take a quick break here from the Essex Sport Arena and we'll be back in about 20 minutes time as next up the Essex Rebels men and Newcastle will take on each other.